I was gonna start this thing off with music. Gonna play. Listen. They don't even understand, Cam. They don't even understand. They don't understand this level of excitement.
You've been saying ever since I've met you, you've been like, yeah, he's not gonna last long.
People. Oh, y'all gotta listen to me. Get in here. I got nothing but time. Get in here. Listen, people. Okay. First things first. Let me take my moment to pat my damn self on the back because I was called everything but Luke for saying that we should have fired this bum after the first season. In fact, I was the only one saying we should have fired him after the first season. I said we should follow suit just like the Cardinals. I said, if you keep him a third season, okay? If you keep him a third season, you're pushing your timeline for comeback another 2 years because that's 3 seasons worth of stuff to get on. I said that the trade for Everson Griffin was stupid because you have guys who's not going to make it past this season. And you're not re-signing him, so they should not be allowed to use any capital to bring anybody in. I said that Desmond Trufant was not an upgrade over Darius Slay. I was told I was batshit crazy. Cool. That's what I was told. That's what they told me, Cam. They said I was crazy, Cam. They said it's no way that is Luke always saying some crazy stuff. Luke don't know football. Luke don't know that. I said, okay, I said this too. I said that the purpose of moving on from a Jim Caldwell was to get someone to take us to the next level. And I don't see where anything has improved under this head coach in the first season. He has never, ever beat a rookie head coach or quarterback. Here go the other thing I said. I told y'all that Sheila Ford was a different beast. I told y'all that. Can you remember that, right?
You did. No, you did. I remember you saying that.
I remember telling them that Sheila Ford was a different beast. The old Lion regime had this same thing happen with Steve Mariucci, and they let him enjoy his weekend with his family, right? And on Monday, they fired him. That's what they did to Steve Mariucci, not Sheila. Sheila said, you get Thanksgiving Day, you get Friday to pack your stuff, and on Saturday, adios amigos. Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. Cam, I said those things, didn't I?
You did. I can confirm all of those. Luke and I text quite frequently. We share a lot of the same thoughts. So anytime I see something Lions, I'll fire off a text over to him, ask him his opinion. And it's kind of funny. Nobody likes the guy who's right all the time. It's like when you're old man, when you were a kid and your dad's always right. And you're like, damn, I hate the fact that dude, even when he seems like he's wrong, he's always ends up being right. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the conversation I think Luke's having with everybody right now. It's the I told you so. And look, you deserve every second of it because you did. And that's the thing is I remember when I first started coming on with you guys, and obviously the Patriots thing. So you guys would ask me about Patricia, and I liked Patricia. I don't think that he's a bad guy, but it's just like he clearly is not head coach material. All right.
Not even close. Not even close. And the worst part about it is this. I'm gonna be right about some more things. Like I'm not even trying to be right. I just go by what the film say.
Yeah.
I go by what the film say. And at the end of the day, people gonna tell me I'm crazy every single time until it happens.
Yeah.
I told y'all Sheila Ford was different. If this was the old Lions regime, they would have just fired the head coach. That's it. They would have just fired Matt Patricia, and we would have moved forward with Bob Quinn. Not under Sheila. Mm-hmm. Sheila say, you brought him here. Sheila say, you the one that told us that he's supposed to get us over the hump of 9-7. Forget the statement that he said 9-7 ain't good enough because he lied to us. He lied to us. That's what he told the ownership, so he had to tell them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what he had to tell them. But he lied to him. And forget that statement. I asked people over and over, why are we blaming the quarterback as if though the coaching has been good?
Yeah.
Now I got people saying to me, Cam, you're gonna love this. I got people saying to me that man, if Daryl Bevell do good, he gonna get to keep the head coaching job. No, he not.
No.
She got the same 2 eyes I got.
Mm-hmm.
You think she didn't see that play call and ask herself, why are we doing this? You think she wasn't paying? This lady rolled up to this man's house. You hear me? She put up to this man's house like it's a gang beef. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a difference. It's a difference here, people. It's a difference here.
She was not playing around.
I told you she was different. Man, listen, if you go through history and look at some of the scariest, meanest people in the history of the world, for every evil guy you can find, there's a female that was 10 times worse. Because when she's pissed, it's a whole new level of I got to show you what I'm about. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about some candidates.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going listen, y'all can throw out who y'all want. I'll tell you my reason if I like them, if I don't. I'll keep it clear. But I want to put out some strong facts, people. Go and look at the 2005 Detroit Lions under head coach Steve Mariucci. He had the same, it's too many similarities with that season, people, that literally said the other thing. But before we get to that, let's talk about one Mr. Ashawn Robinson. I kept telling people that this head coach destroyed this team trying to be somebody that he wasn't. This is the first season where he was willing to be himself. The first season. Here's what Ashawn Robinson puts after this man gets fired. Told me you will take my career away from me, but I guess they have other plans for you. What?
Damn.
You come in a door talking to players like this. You want to know why Snacks was willing to snatch the money from us and leave? He was sick of this bum.
Yeah.
You want to know? Darius. Okay, let me go back. I said I'm not going to rent. Cam,
I know.
Tell the people, man. I'm not going to rent.
This is an emotional day. This is an emotional day for Detroit fans, and you know, for me, being a first year guy here, I think that it's in a weird spot because part of me wants to tell Detroit people like, hey, let's take a breath, let's think about it, and let's get over it, But at the same time, there's a lot of animosity because Patricia did something that I don't think other head coaches did before, which was it almost seemed like disrespectful. Disrespectful to guys like Slay, disrespectful to someone like Ashawn Robinson, who maybe he did or didn't have the best time playing there, but it just seemed like there was a level of disrespect and, I hate to say a level of arrogance, but at some point you have to say, yeah, level of arrogance. And to me, I think about, when he started talking about, how good he did in Super Bowl 49.
What?
You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, like I try to approach things from the coach's perspective and from someone who, I'm going to give the coach the benefit of the doubt 9 times out of 10, because I have to some extent been in that seat. But and this is the thing about coaching is that coaching isn't like it used to be old school, where it was like you tell a guy to do something, he's going to go and do it. That's just not how it is anymore. You got to have dudes who want to move mountains for you and who are willing to abide by that system and do whatever it takes to win. And in order to get guys to do that, you have to be somewhat of a player's coach, which it didn't seem like Patricia was. And,
I mean, that's the reality of it is, Cam, it's almost like if you look at the psychological point of it, it's similar to like a pimp to a prostitute almost, right? Like I hate to use this, but think to yourself, like, how did this pimp get all these people to do this for nothing, right? Or how does a cult leader get all these people to do this and give them nothing? Yeah. And the thing is they are able to appeal to the individual. He never wanted to do that.
Yeah. Completely. I think that he walked in with the pedigree of New England and was like, this is what I've done before. You guys should already want to play for me, and you guys should already want to do everything you can to win for me. And that's just not what it was. And Skino Bino hit it right on the head. How do you my way or the highway a room you haven't done anything in? That is 1,000% right on the head. Skino Bino, I don't know. I haven't seen you around here before. I also haven't been here in a minute. So if you're a loyal dude, that's 100% what it is, man. Like, you can't walk into a room with fresh dudes, NFC, completely different division, and been like, you guys see what I did over there in New England? And they're going to be like, we don't care, dude. We just want to win. Like, we don't care who you are or where you've come from. We want a dude who we like, who we love, who are willing to go out on that field and sacrifice everything for. And they're going to do the same for us. And it didn't seem like Patricia was that guy. And so for all of Detroit, you know, I know that we're gonna hang on it for quite a bit, I would imagine, because there's a lot that everybody's got to get off their chest. But, you know, take a deep breath. This thing's over, and it's time to rebuild from here. But keep going, Luke. I know we got a lot to get through.
Listen, I'm trying not to rant. I got Dan to myself now. I rant because I tell people stuff, and they think I'm crazy, bro. Like I'm not. The reason I started doing this thing was, one, I got tired of media putting out false narrative. That was the first thing. Two, I wanted to be able to give a football perspective that was able to tell you things before it happened, and then you can see that it happens. Why I do it that way is because I'm looking at those little details. When I tell people that Jeff Okudah's not worth the top 10 pick, that was my best video with the most thumbs down. You crazy, Luke? He's a shutdown corner day one. He's shutting it down. That's what they told me. Yeah. I watched him at the 2 or 3 games and was like, he a safety.
He really is.
You're crazy, Luke. He ain't no safety. You can't say that. You can't say it. You can't say that, man. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm just going by what I see. Like, these receivers ain't even running routes. Like, what's his name?
Valdez Scantling.
Yeah, that guy wasn't even running routes. He just ran past him.
Yeah.
Just ran past him.
Bad look.
And I can tell that he can tackle his butt off, which is why he's a safety.
Yeah.
I said that Quandre Diggs was a better safety than he was as a corner, because he wasn't really good as a corner. No, he was good as a corner. Okay, he's even better as a safety. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Ain't nobody trying to put him back at corner. They like him at safety. And my attitude to it is this. I look at this and I say to y'all all the single time, just do the research. Just go through, do your research, and you're going to see that evidence more times than not points to a certain outcome. When I looked at Matt Patricia's first 2 seasons, his seasons lined up more with Rob Marinelli than it did with a Dick Vermeil. Because even under Dick Vermeil, I can see certain things that he did throughout the season and the people he brought in with Falk and he had Isaac Bruce. He brought in Oz Hakeem to be the fast slot receiver. He brought in all this. I saw where they were going as a Rams team. Yeah. Even under Jimmy Johnson. I already knew Jimmy Johnson was going to have a good 3rd year because he came in and the first thing he said is who's our best player? Oh, Herschel Walker's? I need 1st-round picks, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Boom. He already wrote off the first season. I'm implementing a system. All I kept saying is, he said, show your age, Luke. I'm just telling you what the truth is.
That's what the comments here. That's hysterical.
I'm just telling you what the truth is.
It's true, though. Yeah, it's not wrong.
I mean, but I'm just saying, when you go through and you look at history, history will repeat itself if you do not learn from it. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the Detroit Lions, all I'm asking anybody who come in to take over this team is, what are your plans for us to turn this around? Not today, not tomorrow, but to be consistent for the next 10 to 12 years. If it's not getting back to what we were starting to build off of under the 1991 team, then you can't be my head coach. Okay? We have to run the ball. How many games have you watched this man run the ball? Hold on. You know what? I'm not going to rant. Cam, who do you think should be the next Detroit Lions head coach? Let's talk about that. I'm not going to rant. They're not going to give me the rant today.
No, we'll get there. And there's a lot of steam to blow off. Let's not overshadow that. Patricia put you guys through 3 years of some very tough times. So before I hopped on here, I was about to make a video, kind of where do we go from here with Detroit? No, I probably still will. The top 2 guys that I keep seeing is Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City and Robert Saleh from San Francisco. Now, Bieniemy, I think, is going to be tough to – first things first, I think he's going to be tough to lure away from KC, tougher than most people think. Number 2, I think that his top choice is probably going to be Houston if they don't stick with Romeo Crennel.
Hey, listen, Cam.
What's up?
Kim, don't tell people things that's going to be too hard to believe, because I tried to explain that you don't trade away draft capital when you got this many teams looking for a head coach.
Yeah.
They are better options than Detroit.
Yep.
Houston, state tax or none? I thought they don't have no state tax in Texas.
Definitely not.
Florida, Jacksonville, state taxes or none?
Probably not.
Nope. Okay. And Texas and Houston is hot as hell. Good weather, no state tax. Okay. All right, let's keep going. But go ahead, Kim. Keep talking to the people. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
It's gonna be tough to lure away Bieniemy. And to be honest, so this is the thing that I look at with Detroit. I know that people aren't a huge fan of Bevell right now, and that's a roller coaster that a lot of people go through. I don't think that he's been on his game for the last 2 or 3 games, right? He just hasn't been at his best. Now, I will say that when we think back to Jason Garrett last year, when he was on his way out in Dallas, Jason Garrett was like, I don't care who's the offensive coordinator. If I'm going down doing what I want to do. Part of me respects that. Right? If you're going to go down, do what you got to do, get out. Right? And I think that it's entirely possible that Patricia was having that effect throughout the whole team. I would not be surprised to see them change a lot of things up, defensive and offensively, going in through the next couple of weeks. Moving on, what do you I didn't know if you wanted to add to that.
Listen, my thing is this. Eric Bieniemy, to me, I don't want him. And the reason I don't want him is because Detroit is no longer your proving ground. Okay? And it should not be. And to me, whoever comes in here has to already have a pedigree and have a proven track record. We can't take the inexperience no more and give opportunities at this point. And if you do that, then they got to have somebody who's already had previous head coaching experience. He doesn't have that. So for me, Eric Bieniemy, to me, is not an option for me. Because when you look at that offense, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that offense was already going to click because of Andy Reid. It ain't like he in there running stuff because Andy Reid gone, so he can't be an option for me. I know a lot of fans like Louis Riddick as a GM. No, hell no, no. We have to get somebody who has a track record that has to prove. If you're going to come out with somebody fresh and brand new, it's Peyton Manning. Why? Because he, at the very least, will get people to release respect us enough, because who don't respect Peyton Manning? It would be like us hiring Tom Brady to be the GM. He could ask anybody to come here. He could tell Ray Lewis, hey, I know you retired. I just need you to come here and be the defensive coordinator. Okay. It's okay. Okay, Peyton. I'm on my way.
It's true.
Like it's a difference.
This is the thing that's so crazy, is that you have to make Detroit a desirable landing spot. And that's why this position is going to be the most interesting and hardest position to fill in football over this next offseason. Because Detroit right now, and I this is just brutal honesty coming from me, is not a desirable place to be. It's just not. And I'm sorry, like I feel bad saying that, but at the end of the day, that's the truth. You have to find a GM and a head coach that are going to make this place desirable. I don't know who those two guys are. I have a couple of ideas, but at the end of the day, that's what you have to do.
I honestly think that in order for us to get a big name candidate, he's got to kind of have both powers.
Yeah, I agree.
With a guy like everybody talks about John Lynch over there in San Francisco, but he's not the one who make the decisions for real when it comes to player personnel. Martin Mayhew do, the former Detroit Lion. Funny how that works, right? Like, I'm just putting it out there. That was the biggest difference for him, and he talks about it all the time, how Martin Mayhew learned from his mistakes in Detroit, even though he made the mistakes here. Okay.
I keep seeing Harbaugh to the Lions. I'm sorry. Is that like true, or what's going on? I'm trying to type it in right now.
I think Lions fans want Harbaugh. I think they want Harbaugh, and to me, I don't think they should get Harbaugh, because I think that the fan base here already is mad at his ass about what's going on up in Michigan. Yeah. And so the moment that he has one folly, one mistake, or one issue, this fan base will turn on him faster than a lion that you thought you had tamed for a magic show. I mean, it's not going to not going to end well, in my opinion. And so to me,
a change of scenery,
right? It has to be somebody who comes in here, because mind you, if you do bring him in, right, if you bring him in and they go 3-13, fans finna lose they wig, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. But the reality is this: you got to get somebody in here who has a expectation that's unknown, but yet still high. And to me, you get Jim Harbaugh, fans are automatically thinking we should be getting to Super Bowls. He ain't finna do that here.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it's such a tough position to fill because you have to be realistic with yourself, but also you have to get these fans excited about something new and something fresh. The names that I keep seeing thrown around that I don't like, and we talked a little bit about this before we hopped on. Joe Brady, who's the OC with Carolina.
Excuse me, I was choking on that bullshit. My bad.
Exactly. No, I felt the same way. I saw that on a couple of websites. I was like, I just can't get behind that. The dude needs some more time. He's very, very fresh right now. Arthur Smith, who's the OC in Tennessee. No, I wouldn't mind that as much, but still, to me, he's been in the league longer than you would think, though. I think he's been in the league for over 10 plus years. Kellen Moore, I just can't get behind that. Once again,
I don't even understand it.
Too fresh, way too fresh.
Like I would rather have Tony Romo over Kellen Moore. That's how much more I respect what Romo is doing versus Kellen Moore.
Yeah,
like I just don't see it. Jack Del Rio, nope. Listen, whoever comes here. Jack Del Rio would come here. He'll get us back to mediocrity. Yeah. Right now, we're not even average. we're not even average. I think a lot of people bought into this idea of him being a rocket scientist. But let me just show y'all something. Let this serve as a perfect example that just because a person have a degree does not make them smart. Just want to put that out there, okay?
It's true.
He may have got a degree as a rocket scientist. But clearly, he did not understand football. It shouldn't have took him this long to switch over. Adam Gase, I will set this team on fire. I will set this team on fire. Rex Ryan makes the most sense because he has a competitive edge where he wants to win. He wants to do great. And on top of that, I think. But the problem with
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that at all.
I wouldn't either.
That'd be interesting.
I wouldn't either.
You want to talk about a dude who can get a franchise right? Look at what he did in New York. Like New York was nothing before him. He came in, they were relevant, and then when he got fired, obviously he tapered off. But since he's been fired, they haven't done anything special. They haven't done anything crazy. Like at least that's a dude.
Ain't it fun how that works?
Yeah, at least you can get a dude in who brings an identity to this team, right? Like with Rex Ryan, you're going to play hard defense.
That's the point. That's the point. Jim Schwartz was a guy who I think was sending us in the right direction, but. He had his flaws, and I think he should have been gone. Now, let me be clear, people. I want to be clear because I am not saying that the Lions made a mistake letting Jim Caldwell go. I was all for Jim Caldwell being let go. I had to talk to my man JT Sports, and JT Sports and I was talking, and he was telling me, man, Patricia sucks. And I said, well, what do you mean? I said, you ain't telling me no. He said, no, he really, really sucks. And I said, yeah, I know. He says, no. His record against winning teams is 3-19 with teams above 500. I said 3-19. I said, well, what is Jim Caldwell's record? Because I can't remember, right? This is what I asked him. He said Jim Caldwell's record was 8-22. I said, so even though Jim Caldwell was doing what I thought he was doing and not beating winning teams, this man was worse. Yep. What was the win-loss margin looking like, JT? Oh, I got to look it up. Okay, well, he was still looking up. He never got back to me. I looked it up. We were losing by an average of 35, giving up 35 points or more a game. Jeez. This is not normal, people. This is not normal.
It's not.
For a guy who's a defensive coordinator, right? A guy, Rex Ryan would come in here immediately and have the attention of every player. That's all career. Every player. First thing he's going to do with Okuda is explain to him why he need to go to safety.
Yeah.
Why? That's the first thing he's going to do. Right? And the truth is this, people. I have been clear about who my picks are for head coach, and we're not going to get them. Like Lincoln Riley. I think if he got to choose a guy who's in Oklahoma and he got to choose between Houston and some of the other teams, he got better options. Whoever go to the Jets can rebuild their whole squad in one draft. How many first rounds they got? Like 2 or 3 this first year?
Yeah, didn't they sell the farm?
Yeah, they got everything. Man, they got everything you need. Greg Williams, no.
I'm not a Greg Williams guy either.
Nope.
I agree with
Greg Williams, no. I can't do Greg Williams. Ghost Gunner says, how long would you give the next head coach / GM, Luke G? Tell me who the head. If you telling me it's Jim Harbaugh, you have to give him 4 seasons, unless that first season is like 1 and whatever, 2 and whatever, 3 and whatever. If he can't win 6 or more games in his first season, he only get 3. But if he gets more than 6 wins, then you got to give him 4 years to really take that next leap. Let's say you give it a first-time head coach like Eric Bieniemy or Robert Saleh, they automatically got, in my opinion, they automatically gonna have to get 5 years. I gotta excuse their first 2 years because it's gonna take that amount of time to scrub these Patriot way guys up out of here. That's how long it's gonna take for the first 2 years. It's a lot of people on here that should not have been on this damn team.
Yeah,
and it's the reality. So depending on who the head coach is will determine how much time we give him. Now, if he's head coach / GM, he automatically, in my book, gets 3 years, no matter what. Because as a head coach GM, you answer to your damn self. So whoever you want as a player is up to you. You don't have to convince nobody in the room. You just simply take who you want for what you want to do. And at that point, your time is short. Chris Spielman as a linebacker coach. At this point, I can't kill too much of anything y'all gonna say, but I guess.
Yeah, it's it's tough. And you just said we got to scrub these guys who are Patriot way guys. That's what sucks about this situation is that you went all in on the Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia experiment, and look where you're at. This was the worst possible situation. This was the worst possible outcome. Was you go all in on Patricia, you get the guys he wants. You're hoping to have a big season in his 3rd or 4th year, whatever year this is. And next thing you know, you're 3-8, 4-7, whatever they're at right now. And it's tough because now you need to have an absolutely A+ offseason, and you need to have an A+ draft, and you need to knock both of these hirings out of the park with your GM and head coach. And that's really tough to do in the NFL.
You know what's sad though? Like if you look at the teams who like everybody seemed to think that John Gruden is just the head coach. I'm like, no, he's the GM.
No, John Gruden's the GM as well. 100%.
He uses Mike Mayock as an assistant to take up some of his duties, but he's the GM. And look how he drafts his talent. He drafts the talent that he wants. His players are responding to him. They're performing under him. He's building up his time and stuff like that. And so that's why he got that big deal because he's got 2 roles. Yeah. But I want to show y'all something, okay? I want to show y'all something because I think this is very important. When you're looking at the candidates for the next GM, the next head coach, and all those things, ask yourself who can come in right now with what we have and win. That's the only question you got to start off with. Who can come in right now and win? And that list gets real small.
Very much so. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
It gets real small because everybody can't come in here and win with this. Now, mind you, they got to scrub a lot of stuff up out of here, because, Daphne Trufant, a guy that I said he's been hurt a lot lately. No, he's not. Had to hear that crap too, Cam. It's amazing to me, man. It's amazing to me when people are telling me, well, we're not losing because it's not because of the coach, it's the players. And I'm like,
it's all connected, man. It's all connected. And it's first off, I'm really interested to see how Detroit approaches the rest of this season. Because are they telling guys, hey, you're playing for a spot next year? Or are they telling guys, we're building you for that's the thing is you now have to go through this team with a fine-tooth comb without having a GM or head coach in place right now. And you have to pick the guys that you want to build around. Right. And there's guys who are for sure going to be in that category of you don't have a choice but to build around them. Okuda is one of them. So you better find a spot for him that's going to work, and that's the thing is that you need to have head coaches and GMs who first off are going to work well together and who are going to be able to mesh, because that's one of the biggest problems in the NFL is that you have a personnel department and you have a coaching staff that don't agree on a lot of things. And the teams that are having success are the teams that where that role is either the same person or they think very much so alike. That's the biggest hurdle for the Lions coming up right now is you have to find a GM and head coach who mesh well, who have the same ideology, and who are on a winning path.
You know what's funny? It's so funny. I was watching the Jackson Kruger Sports. Shout out to him. I rocks with him. Cam rocks with him.
Oh yeah, big time.
So and he pointed out something that now, mind you, Cam, I don't watch the games with the volume on.
Neither do I. I can't do it.
I don't know why. I can't. I can't. I feel like it's easier to watch it in silence, so I can just feel it. Okay, so Jackson Kruger Sports says Tony Romo pointed out something on a bunch of these plays that he couldn't figure out. Like, why is the linebacker so far out here? And why is this like here? And this man coverage is stupid and blah, 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 blah. Okay, now stay with me. After he says that, they also talked about on the Pat McAfee show, they talked about some of the alignment that they saw and was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sitting here and I'm saying, these are all the same things I've been seeing since the first freaking season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean, how many times, like, when I was breaking down that Packers game that they had earlier in the year and the Packers were lined up in bunch and they got their like, it's clearly man coverage and they got their corners off 8 yards, 9 yards. You're just putting dudes out in no man's land. And it's stuff that, since I've been, a fan of you guys and coming on your show that I've been paying, really close attention to. And it's like, there's too many times where I'm watching games and I'm like, these guys are either misaligned or they're just straight up not being coached like well. Like, why is my corner 8 yards, 9 yards off in man coverage when they got a bunch set? Like, you got to combo guys, you got to put your guys in positions to win, and that didn't happen week in and week out with Patricia.
Now, Down 19 says, "How y'all feel about Louis Riddick? I don't like him."
Yeah, he's fresh. I looked up his resume, and he's got more of a resume than I thought. But I don't think that I think that he'll eventually work into a GM role or somewhere high up in the NFL. But I think once again, if you're Detroit, the last thing, like, honestly, you're in a spot right now where it's like the last thing you want to do is go and put yourself in a position where you're taking a chance on a young guy, because most of the time that's going to backfire. And that's the thing is that, it's the trends in the NFL right now show young dudes doing well, right? And you have Shanahan and you have McVay, but those dudes are special guys. Those are good football coaches. And short-term memory, I get it, but McVay had a horrible season last year. Like, the Rams didn't make the playoffs. So has he turned things around? Absolutely he has. But there are growing pains with young guys that you have to account for, and that's the last thing Detroit needs right now is growing pains with a young dude. Not
to mention, you got to understand that in this country that we respect certain people and respond to people we respect differently. Who is Louis Riddick really going to command the respect from? If he goes out and want to get a guy like Jim Harbaugh, is Jim Harbaugh going to respect him? Is Urban Meyer going to respect him? You know what I mean? If he want to go out and get a guy like Bill Belichick. See, to me, they had to pass the Bill Belichick test for me. Like, you have to have enough respect that Bill Belichick would be like, yeah, I can work with you. Right? And to me, Louis Riddick does not meet that standard.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, go ahead.
No, I because I do want to kind of ask some questions, because I think that a lot of people have that question in their mind right now of where do we go from here. And so, when you look at NFL coaches right now or assistant coaches right now or dudes who have coached in the NFL, off the top, and again, we haven't done a ton of research for this. We were kind of scrambling. Off the top of your head, Luke, who are, 2 or 3 guys who you would look at as these are guys who I think could come into Detroit as a head coach and have success?
Number one, Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. Right out the gate, I think he can do something. Number 2, which is I think it's a bit of a long shot, but I think is more plausible than not. More plausible than not. As a head coach, I struggle with this one because I think he could end up getting the X, but I will still take him. Frank Wright.
Yeah.
I think Frank Wright gonna get the X, but I think he could survive it if he finished strong.
Yeah.
If he get that X, bring him on over here.
I like Frank Reich a lot too. That's a good call. Over here.
And then the third person that I think that can have a chance, but again, like I said, he's still somewhat raw in a way. Is is I'm not even sure that he would even be available, in all honesty. But I think Romeo Cornell. I think the only reason they would look at Romeo Cornell is because they would be like, oh, he's so far removed from the New England way. But I think the Lions, that's the one pick that I don't want them to take. But I think that's the one pick that I can see them looking at and going, well, we are technically still have a lot of players for that type of style. Maybe he can do it. If that happens, you're gonna hear me give Sheila a different explanation. So those would be three guys, I think. But like to me, he's still raw because as a head coach, he's not very good. But I can see people trying to play this game of where he can do the defense up or even talk about Wade Phillips. I don't want none of those people. like to me, if it's new people, Robert Saleh's the only new one I'm really intrigued with. In experience is Frank Wright if they fire him. I see Dead Pizza asked about Dan Quinn. No. If you want to be a defensive coordinator here, great. Head coach, no.
Yeah.
And the truth is, they should try that. The Lions should try that. They should have a head coach who got head coach experience, an offensive coordinator who was a head coach but was successful as a head coach, but then had a bad time and got fired. A defensive coordinator who was a head coach who had a bad time and got fired. They should have all this experience where these guys can put their head together and come up with something. Because whoever comes here got a lot of work to do. Unlike Patricia, who said when he got here, he knew it was a lot of work to do. Oh, from this standpoint, I'm glad that Sheila Ford was the owner because we wouldn't have got this firing in the season. It has been since 2005. 2005, people, 15 years since we fired somebody in season.
Yeah, it needed to happen. It's kind of funny. I was watching the game on Thanksgiving with my parents, and they're not as in tune with the NFL as I am. And Detroit was getting smoked, and I was like, Patricia's gone on Saturday. My mom and dad were like, really? Well, you think they're gonna axe him mid-season? I'm like, oh yeah, he's gone on Saturday. And so today I was doing some work. And I saw the update on my phone, and I went out and I showed my dad, and he was like, damn, you called it. Like I was like, this was a big move. And as much as it's putting Detroit in no man's land, this firing Matt Patricia midseason and firing Bob Quinn midseason sends a message, and it was the right decision from Sheila Ford. I think that can't be that's got to be stated. That's a big move in the right direction for Detroit.
Now the Dan Show says that we should look at John Dorsey. I do like John Dorsey. I also like Wolf. I like him a lot. Like I said, if I'm looking for experience, I'm looking at these guys.
Yeah,
I like John Dorsey. I like Wolf. I remember somebody asked me about Xander's. And I looked at Xander's resume and I said, wait a minute, he's a former Lion. No, I'm straight. He can't come back. I'm straight. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can't come back. Listen, whoever come here, you got to understand something. They got to be built differently. You see what I'm saying? And what I mean by built differently is they have to how can I word this? They got to understand what they're getting themselves into. For the longest time, anybody who has been a head coach of the Detroit Lions, they have not gone on to be a head coach at another team.
Yeah.
Jim Schwartz put together a defense that was unbelievable for a Super Bowl run and won it, and he didn't get a head coaching position. So I just want y'all to be clear about what that looks like. Mike Borgonzi, to me, still doesn't have enough experience for what he gonna get himself into. Because whoever come here need to come here like they already on the hot seat.
Yeah.
And have a sense of urgency to get this thing turned around for the long haul. We have not had an identity since Barry Sanders. I'm tired of hearing you fan base, us, the fans, talk about the quarterback every damn time something go wrong. It cannot be the quarterback every damn time, people. We've had over way too many quarterbacks, and we blamed them all. People was like, well, how could Eric Kramer win a division? But this one did. Eric Kramer played 8 games that year when he won it because, one, Rodney Peete got hurt that year in week 9, and he took over. Lost his first 2 games, and then they decided, you know what? Instead of trying to have a quarterback win it, let's just run the ball. You know what I find funny, though, Cam? This happened really recently. A lot of this fan base love to hate the quarterback. They don't care who it is, right? They just love to hate the quarterback. Now,
easy target.
Watch this, though. I made about 3 or 4 posts after Aaron Rodgers came out and said that the quarterback that they love to hate is the most underrated quarterback who's been doing these things for the longest and don't get the respect and recognition he deserves, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't get no static. You hear me?
Yeah.
And all I kept thinking is what are you supposed to do when your favorite quarterback that you love to praise loves your favorite quarterback that you love to kill and hate on?
Yeah.
I couldn't get no smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't go and put everything on Stafford. And that's kind of been the biggest thing that I was really surprised at when I started kind of looking at Detroit and looking at more of Detroit media is like, I just don't understand how people can throw shade at Stafford. I mean, yeah, the last couple of games haven't been great, but at the end of the day, when you look at what is our biggest problem, Matt Stafford isn't even in that list. Like he's so far near the bottom if we're, putting everybody on there. It just doesn't make sense to me to go and throw Matt Stafford under the bus, especially when he's literally willed that team to 2 wins this year, against the Washington football team and against the Atlanta Falcons. Like that was Matt Stafford putting the team on his back and going and winning football games. It's just not fair to him to go and throw him under the bus for Detroit's, losses. It's just not fair.
First of all, shout out to Schoolcraft. I ain't seen him in a long time. I love the pick of Mr. Joe Lewis's fist. He says Sheila retained them in the begin with. See, let me correct y'all on some stuff really quick. I love me some Schoolcraft because Schoolcraft knows football, but let me just correct you a little bit, Schoolcraft. She didn't retain crap. She wasn't an owner. Her mother came to her, asked her for a suggestion. At best, they discussed it as a group, and the mother was like, "Okay, I guess so." See, Sheila don't see. This is the thing I don't understand about people. We keep trying to give power to people that don't have it. Like I would do things different if I had a position with the Lions. Just let me pick all the talent. That's all I got to do. Let me give you the talent. You can find the coach. I can care less, right? But guess what? When she wasn't an owner, that's different. If she was owner, this would be a totally different conversation. But she wasn't the owner. She wasn't. Her mother was the sole owner. And while the football team stays in the family, all she can do is give her mama advice. Now it's up to her mom to take the advice or not. Sort of like how we got friends who always want to date the same people, and we be trying to tell them like, y'all don't date the same people, but they gonna do what they want to do anyway, and we just be like, okay, that's what this happened. You can't look at that and say she the one that wanted to do it. She only been an owner, the sole owner, where she don't have to answer to nobody but herself for a few months. So give her a little bit of a chance. And right now, she's already ahead of the curve because if Martha was still the head person in charge, I guarantee you Patricia would have been fired, but Quinn would not. And you know what made me say it? I liked it. I liked it, Bob Quinn, up until he made that hire. And I said, this hire, because that would be the first time he got a chance to hire his guy. See, and I said, this hire is going to put the nail in your coffin if it don't work. Because everybody knows that the Patriot way is a ruse. There's the Bill Belichick, there's the Bill Belichick way, and that's it. But there's no Patriot way. So, oh look, yeah, Dan. So Luke, the first time you told me Detroit hates Stafford, I swore you were messing with me. I know.
Yeah, blew my mind.
Like, look, Stafford is trash right now. How can you say that? How can you say that with this trash coaching?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm one of the people that believe in this. Before we get to saying that this happened, what led up to this, right? What happened that led up to this? If he's trash right now, you're telling me that we were having good game plans called coaching-wise, and he's not performing within those good game plans. That's when a player is trash. And watch this, y'all. Cam, you coach, right?
I do.
Okay. When is a player considered not a good fit? Is it when he's playing bad or when he's playing bad in a good game plan where it's like this will work 9 out of 10 times? Why are you struggling with this?
Yeah, I mean, when coaches develop a game plan, you develop a game plan to fit the players. If the players don't want to abide by that and they go and freelance and they play bad, then you get them out and you find somebody who can do it the right way. Stafford hasn't done that. And once again, the Stafford thing I almost don't want to pay too much attention to, but I know it's the hot topic because I just don't see where people think that he's bad. At what point has Stafford led you down that road? And Luke and I have talked extensively about, the quarterback win-loss record and why that's just such a false stat to abide by. It's ridiculous to me, and it's like to go and look at a guy like 12, like Tom Brady, and it's like, Brady doesn't go out there and drop a dime, and score a touchdown and then turn around and play free safety. Like that's not how things work. Like you have to have a complete team to win football games. The quarterback win-loss record, once again, maybe if there's a way that you can manipulate that stat and try and see, okay, within the last 2 minutes of a game, how many times has, the quarterback failed to convert on drive, maybe something like that. If you could bring some of those numbers to me, then maybe I'd be more inclined to believe it. But at the end of the day, you have a dude like Stafford who's got an incredible arm talent. He's an incredibly tough individual who sticks in games even when he's injured. He's playing through every sort of injury you can imagine. And the dude just gives everything he can for this team and for that city. And it's like, it's tough to sit there and throw the blame on him just because you want to blame somebody. At the end of the day, that's what it is. You just want to blame somebody for the losses. I get that, but don't blame a player. Like you have to look at the coaching. You have to look at the scheme. You have to look at, okay, what are we doing defensively? Why are we giving up so many points? It's different if it's different if Detroit's losing games like 9-3. Then you're like, okay, we put up 3 points on offense. What's happening? That's when you have problems. Not when you're losing games, 35-42. And you're like, okay, offense put up 35 points. Defense has to get a stop. I'm sorry. You have to get a stop at some point in that football game. And that's been the thing with Detroit for years is Matt Stafford's going to put up points. He's going to have receivers. And the defense is going to defensively, it's going to be like running water, and I just can't wrap my mind around that thought process. No offense to anybody who does. Like, I'm not trying to be, rude about it, but I just can't. I can't go ahead and throw the blame on Stafford. That's not fair.
But you see the message right here: 13 years and nothing. Don't care about fair Stafford blows. This is what I deal with regular basis. Lions have the worst rushing attack since '99. Yet people blame Stafford for lack of success. I can't tell nobody nothing. Listen, Cam. We go up against the Panthers, and Stafford has torn ligaments in his throwing hand.
Yeah,
and they run the ball 13 times for the whole game, and the score was 7-0.
Yeah,
the majority of the damn game, and he threw the ball 33 times, and all I could hear was people talking about the quarterback and his bad throws, and I'm thinking, if you just run the damn ball, then fast forward to Thanksgiving. They ran the ball like 8 or 9 straight times. It was getting success.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I watched that drive. I was like, this is good. We should stick with this.
Right.
This is working out for us.
Yeah, they gave up on that real quick, didn't they?
It's wild, man. It's like
but it's a quarterback. They asked that man to go out and catch a pass. It's his fault. They want him to do it all. Like I said, people, I just want y'all to understand something. It does not take 3 seasons to build a culture. It doesn't. That is a lie. That is not true. It does not take 3 years to build a identity. Mm. We have not had a culture. I'm going to take that back. We have had a culture change in Detroit. Yeah, y'all was right about that. We had a culture change. It was for the worst. It was for the absolute worst. Yeah. And in terms of building identity, I still don't know who the hell we are. I don't. I'm not saying Jim Caldwell was great. I wanted him fired. But Patricia, a guy that I defended, like, man, look, we should win this many games. They don't know what he's going to bring. If he can get the defense to do this, we'll be fine. I had no clue he was going to walk in here and alienate a whole team.
Yeah.
He had Zach Zenner, a guy who we picked up at the bus stop on the way to the damn practice facility. Not even want to play. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. There's a problem. There was a problem. You got to wonder what that locker room's feeling like right now, too. I mean, you put yourself in a position like that with, somebody who's been there a minute, somebody who's grinded for Detroit. I mean, Stafford might even be a good example, but you got to wonder how those guys are feeling about Patricia being gone and Bob Quinn being gone. Do you think it's a relief for them? Do you think that there's a little bit of like, all right, time to move on, fresh start. Let's see how we do in the second half. What do you think's going on in that locker room?
I think a lot of people in the locker room are celebrating. There was talk that they celebrated when the season was coming to an end with a mimosa party while the head coach was there. When Matt Patricia there. And I think a lot of people are celebrating that he's going. And those people who knew that they would not be a starter nowhere else, they're sad. The Deron Hardmans is sick to their stomach. The Christian Jones are sick to their stomach. Hell, Mike Fords, they are sick to their stomach. There's a lot of players that would not get a start anywhere else who was going to get a start here. They're sick. People like Jared Davis, who's like, bruh, I can't wait to get up out of here.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you're going to see a lot of players come out and not play for the new coach, but play for a new opportunity somewhere else to show people that, no, I'm not the problem. The guy that they got rid of was. And I expect to see that. Now, Down to 19 said, did Patrick Mahomes have a good defense? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. And not only did he have a good defense, he still to this day has one of the sickest level of arsenal of weapons at his disposal.
Yeah.
He can kill you at every level on the field because of his weapons. You want to play up close on the line of scrimmage? I'm gonna let Tyreek Hill and Miko
Hardman, yeah,
kill you over the top. Oh, you want to get far back? We'll kill you underneath with Watkins and Travis Kelce. Oh, you want to play a little bit of cover too? Don't worry about it. We've got enough running backs that'll run up between those gaps in our zone run, and they can catch up the backfield. His offensive weapons are literally not normal. Like, this is not normal. He had more weapons than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
The first weapon they gave Tom Brady went stupid with Randy Moss.
Yeah, it's true.
Two tight ends and Randy Moss, and that was enough. He went nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Mahomes comparison, first off, you can't compare what Detroit's going through right now and what's going on in Kansas City. It's not fair to look at those two. Not only that, but Steve Spagnuolo, who's the defensive coordinator in Kansas City right now, is one of the best playoff defensive coordinators and schemers in the game. Like, that dude knows how to win playoff football, and it's a combination of a number of things. But and Luke and I, we've gone down the rabbit hole on shows before about bringing pressure on third down. When's the right time to? Spagnuolo knows how to do that to a T. I mean, we're talking about the dude who derailed the 2007 New England Patriots. And he beat Tom Brady again in the Super Bowl I think it was 2011. And then he went and he did the same thing, this last year against the 49ers. And like that dude knows how to scheme up offenses, especially when we get into the postseason. And that guy's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. Can't say enough good things about him. And at no point has Matt Stafford had a defensive coordinator or a defensive unit that's supported the way that he plays the game. It just hasn't happened.
Nope. And when you say that, people are gonna go, "Oh, he had a defense in 2014 and 2011." And I'm a redirect him. We still give a lot of big plays, and one of the things that made people like Brett Favre so good, right, where he could be a full-fledged, disrespectful gunslinger, was because he knew that his defense could get the ball back. The same thing with Terry Bradshaw. The same thing with a lot of these players. When they know that their defense can get turnovers, they can do wild stuff. Yeah. I remember watching Aaron Rodgers this one season where they went to the Super Bowl where defense came on hot down the stretch, and they finally figured out that they had a running back or at least a running back and a receiver, and started running the ball a little bit. They found a way to generate it, but the defense was able to get after you. So he was playing a little bit more reckless and free. Stafford tries to play because he's like, this defense sucks. Yeah, and it's not even a Stafford issue. But look, Sky Guy says Dolphins have an identity at the 3 seasons and a half, and we don't at the almost 3 seasons. Don says Joe Burrow having a better season than Stafford. Well, let's talk about Joe Burrow, because for you people who like to think that tanking works, Joe Burrow was let down by his team. Joe Burrow, the same guy that you're saying is having a better season than Stafford, was leading the league in passing attempts as a rookie. Where they do that at, Coach? Huh? Where they do that at? That's stupid. That's not protecting your quarterback. That's not doing it. Why is he throwing the ball on average 40-something times? That's not protecting your quarterback. And that is why tanking doesn't work. That is why most of these good quarterbacks suck. And that, in which you were talking about, and Joe Burrow having a better season than Stafford, is why his knee is freaking oatmeal right now. Yeah. Because they literally rode him like Stafford. Yeah. You cannot do this and expect for a quarterback to be successful. You just can't.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. You can't. The days of, I mean, they haven't ever been there. Football is a different sport than every other sport that's out there. Because hockey. I think hockey is a lot like it, just because you have to play as a team. You have to have every facet of the game dialed in and ready to go if you want to succeed and you want to win it come playoff time when it really matters. And putting it all on your quarterback to go and do that's just not going to happen. It's going to be short-lived. If you do have success, don't count on it for long. I mean, look at the Joe Burrow situation. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like the Joe Burrow situation is really interesting because obviously he's a phenomenal athlete and he's a great football player. And I think he's going to have a great year. But the Bengals found out 11 games into this season, okay, we really, really need to build an offensive line around him, or else he's either going to get detrimentally injured, like what happened this year, or he's going to leave. Like the quarterbacks don't want to be around a team that's not going to help them out and that's going to be there for them. And that's the other thing that I think is really interesting about Detroit. The fact that Stafford has stuck around for so long is phenomenal. Like the fact that he has been around and he's stuck around this team, around this front office who hasn't really done a lot to help him out, right? Other than, yes, he's had his offensive weapons, but they haven't provided him with a supporting cast. Most other quarterbacks are taken off. We'll see you later. I'm going to go find a spot that wants me, that's going to take care of me, and that's going to give me the tools to win. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he's still here is insane. The fact that you have a quarterback to hate on for a lot of you guys is incredible.
It's amazing to me, Cam, and it's even more amazing when you see it. Technical Puma says, what Ashawn Robinson tweet really shows us about Patricia's treatment of his players.
Yeah.
You told a guy, I'm going to take your career away from you. For what?
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine hearing that in the locker room, being somebody else and him coming out and being like, yeah, he just said he's going to take my career away from me. I'd be like, what?
What did you do? What did you do? Like, yeah. What? Like, I don't get it. I'd rather have Dak versus Stafford. Yep. Mm-hmm. You take Dak.
I respectfully disagree.
Listen. You don't got to disagree. Jerry Jones disagrees. He cares so much about Dak. He wouldn't even pay him. He loves him for Stafford, though. It's been on record for him saying it. But okay. My man Greg in the building. Yes, sir. I am very happy. I have been telling people for the longest and been told that I was crazy and stupid and don't know football and don't know this. But hey, at the end of the day, I left enough room for everybody to get on the bandwagon. I'm not selfish. Everybody can get on that bandwagon, okay? The Dan Show says 49 people in here. It was 60 at one point. He says, but only 12 likes. Come on, man. So let's get that up. I can't wait for the day we trade Stafford. I'm going to pop bottles. I am too, Don, because not only am I going to pop bottles, the moment you say anything about the next quarterback sucking, I'm not going to hear it because that's not fair. Because then at that point, you're just blaming the quarterback to be blaming the quarterback. And I'm telling you, we have blamed every quarterback. Eric Kramer, Andre Ware, every one of them. Joey Harrington, Charlie Batch. We blame as many games as we lost with Barry Sanders. We've never blamed them. Never.
Yeah.
Never. We would never think to do that. But we blame the quarterback as always. That's what we do here. And like I said, Joe Burrow literally was taken out back by his own line. Yeah, see, it's terrible. Bengals had no O-line. I know. Watson was successful. Watson was semi-successful. They gave him a receiver, and he still had an unnaturally good defense, and they still forced the run even though they didn't have a running back. Yeah. So they had Jadeveon Clowney, Marcellus Whitley. They had JJ Watt.
Yeah. They got a defense though. That's the thing is that we try and compare, these quarterbacks to who are having success and who don't have, the firepower. I understand that. And once again, you guys are bringing up some really good points. I love the fact that we're talking and we're having this conversation because it's important to talk about, but we have to understand that to sit here and act like Matt Stafford has had the supporting cast on the other side of the football, I can't get behind that. That's not
or the coaching. Or the coaching. He had the coaching. Yeah. That's the biggest problem that's been lacking here It's the coaching. When you go through and you look at people like Kurt Warner, all he talks about is, hey, you look at me under Dick Vermeil, I had better coaching under Dick Vermeil, but then when he went up to other teams that wasn't the Rams, he sucked. He was like, man, the Giants' time was hectic for me because of how the coaching was. And then he had success when he got to another coach on the Cardinals. The coaching makes a huge difference. And so that's a big thing. James Holyfield, Luke, who would you like as the GM? Wolf or Peyton Manning? Them are my top two candidates. Wolf, because I can look at the Cleveland Browns team and at the very least say, damn, top to bottom, there's talent. I don't care how you cut it, how you slice it. He was very aggressive and going to get people in trades, very aggressive and adding the talent. This man was willing to add a guy like Kareem Hunt, a guy that we wanted, but we weren't going to do it because he had one bonehead moment in his life. One. Nope, we're not going to bring him in. He then turns around and add Nick Chubb into the mix with that. Now, then he go and add Landry. He adds Odell Beckham. He turns around. He said, I'm going to get Baker Mayfield because guess what? Baker Mayfield is a winner in college. I'm going to bring winners here. And then he goes out and add more linemen. He was doing everything to just put talent there, and that respectable to me. Peyton Manning, because if I'm going to take anybody that's fresh and brand new, it's Peyton Manning, because with Peyton Manning, I'm going to tell you like this, okay? I'm going to tell you like this. If at all nothing else, he gains the respect of whoever wants to come here. People would come here just for him. That's one of the reasons why the Lions really bridged the gap with Barry, because one of the first person they use to ambassador people who come here is Barry, especially when you're a running back. If you're a running back and don't know about Barry Sanders, I don't know where the hell you been. Okay, like either you was just born yesterday, or something happened. But that's the reality of it.
So Wolf is under Bill Belichick right now. Says is that up to date though? That's from March.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Wolf's father used to be the GM for the Green Bay Packers, right?
Yeah, I was looking it up because I wasn't as familiar with Wolf, but it says Wolf is an exec for the Patriots right now, but he spent the previous 14 years in Cleveland, and then when Cleveland brought on Andrew Barry, they mutually decided to part ways. So that would be interesting because he's basically, I would imagine, because he's just an executive in New England right now, he's probably honestly just picking up knowledge from Belichick. I'm sure that he's got a hand in
last time I checked, Wolf is on the Browns still.
I could be totally wrong though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's still on the Browns, but I could be wrong too. Like I said, I'm too damn happy to be doing my research right now. Watch us win the next 5 games to make the playoffs just to spite Patricia, and watch they still fire Darrell Bevell. He's still going. Like, he's still going. Like, it is what it is. Lions hire Urban Meyer will be my pick. Roland G, we get Urban Meyer. Oh my God, you got to make him the GM and the head coach.
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to ask you about too, because I asked you about dudes who are in the league or who used to be in the league who you would want as the head coach, and then I was going to go on to college guys who you would have a thought of, because I know there's one dude in particular who you think.
I love David Shaw.
Yeah, I like David Shaw too. I like him a lot. That's the guy that I want to talk about. I think it would be a lot to pry him away from Stanford, because I think he's got it pretty nice over there. Understandably so. He's built Stanford into a good football team, and they're coming off of a big win against Cal yesterday. Yep. But that would be a guy who I would be very interested to see in the NFL as a legit head coach.
He got it all. He got it all. He's got the pedigree for taking what should not be happening and making it happen. Everybody thought Stanford was over because Jim Harbaugh left, but I would argue that they got better under Shaw than they were under Jim. I would argue that hands down. So I love David Shaw. Ghost Gunner says NFL posted an Instagram showing Patricia being fired, and Galladay liked the tweet. Y'all
so
still they don't listen, Cam. They don't listen. Nobody liked this man. Yeah. Marsh's Land said, I'm riding with you. Look, for sure. Mars was one of the people that was on my head because he said I wasn't giving Patricia enough of a fair shot, and I told him it's coaching issues. That's not that I want to hate the guy. I just want him to be a better coach. So James, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce your last name because I don't want to mess it up. He says, just joined. Do you guys think that there's any hope under Bevell?
Is Bevell the interim head coach? Did they announce that?
He's the interim head coach and GM right now.
Really?
Yeah, because they're not going. They're going to start their GM search. Yeah. But it doesn't matter because he can't do nothing as a GM right now. He can't make no trades because he could have did something stupid like trade a 6th-round pick when you only got 6 total draft picks for a DN who's not going to be here at the end of the season. But that's another story. But yeah, I think Daryl Bevell. You will see slightly better football under Daryl Bevell because at this point you got to keep in mind Daryl Bevell and Corey Underling are trying to prove that they are worthy.
Yeah, they're coaching for a spot next year for sure.
Yeah, so they're gonna do some things different, but they're not gonna remain here in Detroit. When the season comes to the end, Detroit gonna clean house. The only people who are going to survive is special teams coach probably. Combs will probably survive. Frank Haley will probably survive. McKenzie may get fired as a linebacker coach, but for the most part, I can see where a lot of people may not survive. Yeah. Just based on that. Louis Riddick is my pick for GM. We talked about Louis Riddick, James. I'm not a fan. He needs a little bit more time. Key Eric says, just woke up. I'm so effing happy. They are gone. I told y'all that. I made a post that said this is the last day y'all got to worry about seeing Patricia. And people didn't believe it. Oh, look, I forgot about this. Dan should make a good point. Buffed up. Watson messed up his knee halfway through his rookie career. Yeah. See,
gotta take care of your Qs, man. You got to take care of them.
And they don't. Adam Bukar says, I want all the players that had a problem with Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn to come out and speak their mind because they won't be able to say or do anything about it. They've been doing it, but a lot of times if you come out and you do that, this is a fraternity, and other teams will look at it and go, you taking in-house stuff out of the house. We don't want you here. So you don't want that. We are 9-7, might get you in this year. I don't care if they make the playoffs or not. It don't matter. And I don't care about this whole idea of draft position. Whoever's drafting got to know how to draft. Yeah. The Lions right now need to find another general manager and find him fast because he's got to prepare himself for the draft coming up. If it was up to Bob Quinn, we were going to probably end up taking like a freaking receiver. And I'm telling you right now, okay, stay with me. I am big on this idea that I don't care who the pick is as long as the pick is right. But we cannot take a freaking receiver this year. we can't do it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, we cannot do it, people.
Detroit just became a really, really interesting team to keep tabs on. They really did with this. It's a step in the right direction. I'm very interested to see who they go with for their GM. I think that'll also indicate who they're looking towards for their head coach as well.
Now, Key Eric says, can the Lions sign Troy Weaver as GM? And it's one of the things that I pointed this out. Troy Weaver came in and completely just went nuts. Everybody got to go. He's making trades. Yeah. He was super aggressive. And I'm like, that's what you need. If everything here wasn't working before, then chances is everything got to go. But again, that determines that's going to be determined by who the new people are. And now they got to come in and do this and try to get more capital and be able to keep people who can help them. Like if you're telling me you're going to keep Deron Hartman as a backup, great. But if you're telling me you're going to keep him as a starter, then I'm trying to figure out what you're doing here as my GM and head coach. 78 Kicks Cam says quarterbacks get all the credit when they win, and he's going to get it when they lose. No, the media wants y'all to give the quarterbacks credit when they win because most of y'all play fantasy football, and fantasy football has created a whole second revenue for the NFL. So you're right. They're going to hype that stuff up to you fantasy football players because that's what the money is at in fantasy football. What's your thoughts on that, Kim? I mean,
the quarterback's such a polarizing position, especially right now in the NFL, because you have some of the most talented players in the NFL and in sports are playing quarterback. Like obviously we talk about Mahomes and Deshaun and Rodgers is still a freak athlete and slinging the rock out there. But the quarterbacks are going to get a lot of heat when you lose as well. It's It's weird, and again, you're 100% right, because it does kind of go back to the fantasy football, ESPN, PFF sort of deal, where it's like, they're going to look for that hot button topic, even though, people who know football are looking at it going like, that's not what we should be talking about right now. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and not even behind the scenes, but stuff that goes on in the game that we don't pay attention to. So I would disagree with that. I think that quarterbacks are going to get a lot of heat, regardless of win or lose. I think that everybody's going to want to play Monday morning quarterback.
Facts. Leverage Life says you can win with average at best quarterbacks in this league. Lions fans need to realize Stafford's not the problem. He needs coaching and scheme. Look at the Bills. They don't have the best roster, but good staff. Man, I can't say it better.
Yeah.
I can't
another team that I think the Bills is a phenomenal example. Another team that is a team that I think we're going to see more, prototypes of is the Tennessee Titans, because you bring in a dude like Vrabel, who guys, want to do anything they can for, because he's a player's coach like that. He's a hard-o, but he's a player's coach like that. And then you look at Ryan Tannehill is not a world beater. He's not an all-world athlete. He's not anything like that. But they win and they have success because they know how to build a football team. They know how to build a defensive-heavy, run-heavy football team that's going to win and succeed when it matters. And that's the blueprint for Detroit, if I'm completely honest. If you want to get Detroit fans fired up about the Lions again, you build a team that's very, very much so like the Tennessee Titans. That's a hard-nosed defensive football team that's going to pound the rock. And if you can keep Stafford and keep him upright for another 2 years, 3 years, he's the perfect guy to plug and play into a system like that.
What do you think of Benemy, or however you spell it, from Kansas City as a head coach or OC? I don't think he would come here as an OC. I think he's looking for a bigger thing, so he's going to get a head coaching position this year. And as a head coach, I don't think he got enough experience to come here in Detroit. It's not enough experience. They need somebody with experience right now, because right now, whoever comes in here have to have a strong mental capacity and be willing to understand that this fan base is unforgiving. So I don't think I think he's there yet. And so I would say no to him at this point. Now the other guy, Robert Saleh, because he's from Michigan, he knows this fan base. He's been a part of this fan base. He's seen this fan base. He would be able to survive it more so than Benemy to me. But again,
I think the more I think about it, the more I think Saleh's the guy. I really, really do. The more I sit here and think about it, and it's like, all right, you need to find a way to plug the hole on defense. You need to find a way to stop the bleeding. Robert Saleh is that guy, right? You match him up with some dudes, and I think that he's going to help a guy like Okudah a lot. But that front seven they have out in San Francisco is absolutely phenomenal. If he can bring that scheme and plug it in Detroit and see how that and again, some dudes are going to be on the chopping block because of this, because a guy like Danny Shelton, as he's playing very well this year, but he doesn't exactly fit with Saleh's scheme. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to get shipped off if they do hire him, but Saleh, the more I think about it, I think that's the pick. I went off a little on a tangent a little bit.
No, you're good, man. You're good. Let me. I ain't gonna be on here too much longer, because I know I want to watch some USC with you. So down to 19 says, Luke, I always respect your opinion. I just want a new quarterback. I'm with you on that. I agree, but you have to do this thing the right way. And what you don't want to do is what happened to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow went to the Bengals with nobody to learn from, nobody to usher in a slow start for him. But people like Aaron Rodgers, who got to sit for like 2 or 3 seasons, people like Tom Brady, who by accident was put into the starting lineup because Drew Bledsoe got hurt. People like Dak Prescott was not brought in to be the guy, but Tony Romo got hurt. And then you fast forward it over to those guys who got to sit, like Patrick Mahomes, who got the chance to sit behind Alex Smith. And you start to look and you see that, man, it's something to let them sit, get a lot of those jitters out of their system, and it's a difference. And a lot of the times that the sitting part does is allow for them to learn, and you put them in a few snaps here and there, and see what happens. And yes, I'm not saying that you can't put a guy in and start him, make no mistake about it. But now they're going to be trying to do what they did in college, not realizing that don't work here. The only person that I felt like went straight from college and kept doing what he was doing was Michael Vick. And that was because that was an unheard of thing at that time.
Yeah. And like we also got like the other guy that comes to mind is Russ out in Seattle, because I think that he basically went from college starter to pro starter. I remember that year
he was brought in to be a backup to Matt Flynn.
Yeah,
Matt
exactly.
Flynn fucked it up in the preseason. Russell Wilson didn't, and then he took that spot. So
but there's a lot to be said for having a guy sit for a year, and that's something that's really interesting, and that Detroit's going to have to. That's another mountain that these guys are going to have to climb. Right? At what point do we draft for the future? Because we all know it's not Chase Daniels, right? We have to go and we have to get a young Q who's willing to sit and who's willing to learn. Like you look at and I wasn't the biggest fan of the Jordan Love pick in Green Bay, but I guarantee you that's going to pay off at some point. That's the right way to do things. You look at Mahomes. Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, right? And he learned that offense. He learned where are we going to make our reads? And when he made mistakes, you make those mistakes in practice. It's harmless to make mistakes in practice. But with a rookie Q and with a young Q, you're going to have mistakes. Would you rather have those mistakes be on Sunday or during the week, right? You want those mistakes during the week so you can fix that and get the cleanest version of that Q you can get on Sunday.
Facts. Now, Silverback Scott number 20 says, is it still a win now type thing, or you think we giving it a couple of years? It's still a win now type thing. The statement that she sent to me that lets me know that this is still a win now thing is the fact that she didn't just fire Matt Patricia for what stinks up in this building. She fired the general manager. Yeah. That is not typical Lion procedure to fire both of them. That's not. It's just not typical Lion procedure to do that. And the fact that she did, she wants to win now. Period, point blank.
I agree. I think that's going to be the biggest message for whoever comes in. You have, and that's the biggest thing from the front office to the, to the GM and to the head coach. We have your back. We're going to be here for you. Don't worry, but don't make no mistake. We're not in this for a 6-10 rebuilding year. This is a team and an organization that needs to turn things around, and you need a guy. It was what we talked about earlier. You need a head coach who is game for that. You need a head coach who's an absolute shark and just wants to win. Same thing with the GM, right? You don't need a dude who comes in and says, this is my 3-year plan. No, I want to see what you can do to get this team winning this year.
Facts. Robert says, maybe we need to go back and take another look at Terry Austin. Nope, that ship has sailed. If Terry come here, he's got too much to turn over. I don't think he's built for that type of turnaround. When we were trying to make him the head coach, it made sense then because most of the defensive players were there. They knew him. He was familiar with the scheme. He can tinker with it, add his players in, and we keep going. But at this point, we too far gone away from what he used to have, and it would take too long for him to get it. So who do you guys will be the new GM? This is my belief. I believe that the new GM is going to come from one of the top teams in the league, and I believe that's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to look deep within the Pittsburgh Steelers because there are a few names that have come up with Pittsburgh. I'm drawing blanks on them right now, but it'll come back to me a little bit. I think they're going to look at Pittsburgh as one of those teams, and the next team that they're going to look at heavily is the Kansas City Chiefs. So those are your two targets you can look at. So go and look at Brass there. Like I said, I'll be doing some things to kind of bring that to the forefront. I just can't remember their names right now.
Couldn't agree. I think they look at Kansas City's head front office very, very closely. There was a guy that they brought up earlier, and I can't remember his name. He was in the chat. I can't remember, but that's going to be a guy. You have to look at the teams that are succeeding right now, and you have to look at guys who are looking to make that next move in their career. Right, the Wolf guy we talked about, right. Elliot Wolf is a great example of that. The Chiefs dude, it's like Bob Gronzo or something. That's a guy who you could go ahead and look at. Like, you have to look for the dudes who are director of player personnel on these successful teams and who are looking to move on in their career. And again, that is and you look at, okay, now we have this opportunity with Detroit, and it's an absolute mountain to climb. But if you got a dude who's in one of those successful organizations who's looking to make that jump, you bet your ass that dude's going to be hungry for that opportunity. And that's the kind of guy that you need in Detroit.
Greg Charlie says Trey Lance the future as long as he get to sit behind Stafford. Yes,
I agree with that.
If he come here and got to start, he'll be done faster than Jamarcus Russell. I promise you. I promise you. If he got to come here and start, because I've seen him. I have an issue when I watch quarterbacks take off and run. And I'm like, they're open. There's nobody by you. I've seen Trey Lance do that a few times. I've seen Wilson do that a few times, and it bothers me. So they got to kind of dial it down. But don't worry about it. We spent $13 million on Chase Daniels, and we never used him. So great work. Let me see. I'm gonna take a few more, Cam, then we can get out of here because I don't want to. Let's see what we got. Jackson Kruger Sports in the building. He said, just tuned in.
Yeah.
I think Eric Betterman would be a great fit with Stafford, but Robert Saleh would be great too. I think Robert Saleh is the pick, JKS. I think he's hands down probably going to be our number one target. And he should be, because if you look at it, we're a 3-4 defense. He can coach a 3-4, and he can put in a 4-3 implement. But he understands the area. He understands how to get people motivated. And if you just look at it, just look at our history, we, minus Patricia, Jim Schwartz was able to implement his defense and get some success. I think Robert would do a better job of signing a better staff.
Yeah.
So that's everything.
I could not agree more with that. Sheila, and we talked about it before, it's about making Detroit a desirable place to go. And you put in a young coach like Saleh who's going to be fired up on the sidelines. We saw him, last year. Dude's absolutely geeked on the sidelines when they make a 4th and 1 stop. Dude, that you need to boil that down and inject that into Detroit's veins. Like, that's what they need. Like, they need a high energy coach who's going to go out there. He's going to get after it. Guys are going to want to play for him. He's going to install a defense that's not going to sit back and play, drop back into quarters or play man 8 yards off. You need an in-your-face, we're going to bring heat on 3rd down defense, and that's what I think Saleh could bring to this team. Now, and the other thing is that, like, something that's really, really valuable in my eyes, and I kind of want to ask you about this because I'm a stranger to Detroit and to Michigan in general, but how much more fired up would this fan base be for a dude who's from Dearborn as opposed to a dude who's from, somewhere else?
I think anytime we hear that a person's from here, we get excited for it.
Right.
But I think what most of the Lions fan base is, we have what I call the honeymoon phase syndrome. Anybody who come in here new, we pump for. Like, I'm not right now. We're hyped as hell for Troy Weaver on the Pistons. And after this season go by, he'll be getting the same funk that every other person who's here get. This is a city and a state that's performance based. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We take pride in the cars that we build and the hard work that goes behind it. I don't care who they get; they're going to be pumped for the person regardless.
Right.
But it's about year 2 and 3 where we start to see that honeymoon phase wear off, and it's not so pretty and pink as they say.
Yeah.
Robert says, see if we can lure Mike Tomlin here, offer him head coach and GM. I don't know if you know this or not, but that wouldn't even be enough to get Mike Tomlin here.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin's locked in Pittsburgh, and he's earned that. Awesome. He's earned that though, man. That dude, I wasn't the biggest Tomlin fan originally. I thought that he was a little too much of a cheerleader for my liking, but that dude has absolutely just been a stud out in Pittsburgh. He's a phenomenal football coach. I love watching him coach and the Steelers play because he really is, especially for like a young buck like me who's just still, kind of getting my feet wet with coaching. I guess I'm a little bit past that, but he's a really cool guy to watch coach.
Now, Anthony comes in the building, and shout out for coming in the building, because he says, I'm a Dolphins fan. And so I understand what you guys are dealing with right now with incompetent coaching and front office personnel. We had this issue before Greer and Flores. I mean, it's people they underestimate the power of coaching.
Yeah.
Joseph Felice says, what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson? I say draft him and sit him behind. Anybody we draft got to sit behind Stafford.
Yeah,
I don't care if you draft Trevor Lawrence. You got to sit him behind Stafford. Whoever you get got to sit. I'm just sorry. And so to me, my thing with Wilson is I like some things that I saw out of Wilson, but I also saw some things out of Wilson that I was like, ugh.
Yeah. And we got to remember it, and that's something that maybe a lot of people don't know, but that speed from college to NFL, and it doesn't matter if you're playing SEC, Division II, NAIA, like, it doesn't matter. The speed from college to the NFL is the biggest jump you're ever going to have. Like, that is completely different. So as a quarterback, that's everything, right? Like, learning the abilities of your receivers, knowing where you can put a football, knowing how fast corners are going to break on things. That's all stuff that you need dudes to take at least a year sitting to understand, even just going up against the dudes on your own team, right? And figuring out, okay, now I'm starting to really get a grasp on how things go.
Facts. Robert says not drafting Justin Herbert was a big mistake. I told you so. Has he finished the whole season yet? I don't think he finished the whole season yet. I mean, come on, man. Really?
I do like Justin Herbert, but I wouldn't say he wasn't going to fix the problem this year for Detroit.
Right. What was he going to help us this year do? And let me ask you this. If we take Justin Herbert right now we have the 9th overall pick in the draft, and we lose out and end up with the 3rd overall pick, what we do then? And you sitting up there and you still got Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson on the board. What do you do then?
Oh, man, I'm not touching any of those guys.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, you want to give your new head coach and GM their guys.
Yeah.
So it didn't work that way. Luke, with the success of Cliff Kingsbury, do you think Detroit might go after Lincoln Riley or Debo Swinney in college? I think a lot of Lion fans really want Lincoln Riley, and I am terrified of Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he does great in college, but there are some games that I'm trying to figure out, how does he lose in college?
he's such like a boomer bust candidate. You know what I mean? Right. Where it's like you either get, a hell of a head football coach and like a Cliff Kingsbury-esque guy with Lincoln Riley, or you're, taking steps back because you just picked up a college coach. I like Lincoln Riley, but again, I think Lincoln Riley is one of those guys where it's going to take a lot to lure him away from Oklahoma. And, I think that a lot of people kind of have that misconception of, oh, he's the head coach in college, he wants to go to the NFL. That's not the case for a lot of guys. Saban has spent his fair time in the NFL before he was like, screw this, I'm going back to college. Yep. And he went back to Alabama, and there's not a team in the NFL that he would go to, I think he's nice and cozy down there in Alabama, and I think it's probably the same way for Lincoln Riley and Dabo Swinney.
Yep. Yeah, I think the same thing. I think Dabo wants that opportunity in NFL, but again, you gotta be in the right situation, and Detroit don't sound like it. They couldn't draft a quarterback in the first round. No, there's no way. They should not have been. Lions been given about 60 years to win. You late. Let's see. Patricia wanted to get Brown, but Quinn picked Okuda instead. I mean, and let's be honest. A lot of people really wanted Ed Oliver over TJ Hockenson. And, I think TJ Hockenson still was the right pick. J-Mo says the Lions have a chance to save the franchise, and Stafford and Kenny G hire a great coach. They can be better than 9-7 right now and build after that. Tua is getting benched. Stop talking about him. Okay. If you haven't heard that too, Quinn sucks. So happy he's gone. Chase Claypool, that man has a bright future in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's a guy that we wanted. One of the reasons why I basically bitched him on about $6 million for Danny Amendola. Something else this is something else that I was bitching and moaning about that I was told I was crazy about. Oh, they ain't gonna hurt him. Danny can be like an on-field coach.
Yeah.
600 yards, 678 yards and 1 touchdown, and he gets $6 million. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's tough to say it right now, guys, but it's you got to turn the page. You got to you just time to turn the page on stuff like that.
Mike Not Tomlin the right decision. Wants to be a GM. Well, if he wants to be a GM, that's one thing. But GM and head coach, I don't know. J-Mo, now who was the dope that wanted Tua here? A lot of people.
Yeah, true, huh?
Dick LeBeau is who you're thinking about from Steelers, used to be Detroit at one point. Oh, that's his name. All right, thank you. Listen, I'm happy that this dude is gone. It is what it is, and that's all it is. Hindsight is 2020. Can't focus on the past too much. Yeah, see, hindsight is 2020, but mine was already 2020 sharp because I saw it coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm late. This Rona coming in waves. Yeah, I know, man. Stay safe out there if you can. I don't want a defensive head coach. Okay, I understand it. We're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna find a way to get you on. We talk about it. Send me a link afterwards. For sure, I will do that because we're going to get out of here. I'm so happy. That's from Supreme Josh. Luke, is this a sign that the Fords are changing the culture? Yes. Listen, this does not happen in the old Ford era, man. We're not firing both GM. Look how long we kept Matt Millen. Like, I'm not even being funny. Look how long we kept Matt Millen. God, how many head coaches did he get to pick? And then after the Matt Millen, look how long we kept LaWand and Mayhew and stuff. I mean, no, this don't happen. This is a rare thing, people. Offense runs this league. I think that offense is having success because most defenses with no off season, take time to jail. So
Yeah.
not gonna kill him. Off topic, Luke. Did you end up getting a PS5? I did. I did end up getting a PS5.
You dog. I want a PS5. I gotta find a way to get my hands on one.
Dude, I listen, shout out to those who got a real woman on their side, because she stalked every website to hear the high heaven to find me one. So
really,
yeah, and when she got it, I didn't know how to act. Speaky says, "What up, though?" Solid knows playing Matt 80% of the time is a bad thing. Everybody know 80% of the time.
unless you got absolute dogs at corner, it's a bad thing.
And a D line that puts pressure on it.
Unless you have dogs at corner and a D line who can pressure the Q in like 3.5 seconds, then yes, playing man 80% of the time is a bad thing.
In the mix says, please, no defensive coordinator. I think that they're going to look hard at Robert Saleh, but in my opinion, I want more experience. I need somebody who's built a program, who's done it before, for me to be the next head coach.
And that's why I think this is such an interesting time for Detroit, because you got to hope that they make the right decision. But a Shaw or a Saleh, like those two types of guys, I'm not saying that those will be the finalists, but and I'm not saying Shaw would even want the job, but those two types of finalists, I think, make this a very, very interesting time for Detroit.
All right. Well, again, people, if you are just joining, as it says in the title, the Detroit Lions have moved on from Matt Patricia and fired general manager Bob Quinn. I thought it was going to happen on Monday. Sheila shocked the hell out of me and said, hold my beer. I'm not playing. I gave him a day to enjoy his Thanksgiving meal. I'm pretty sure he didn't want to eat all day Thursday because he knew what was coming. I allowed him to spend time hugging and kiss his children on Friday. And today I put the nail in the coffin and told him that you are off. Good luck. You should have put your house on the market weeks ago. And to me, that's a different feel. I knew Bob Quinn was in trouble when he wasn't doing a lot of those damn conference meetings for the media. And I was like, yeah, he hit. It's all bad. But that photo of her with her hands in her palm, that said it all.
I agree. Could not agree more. Because I was kind of worried. I was like, dude, I hope she does not wait till the end of the season. That was the biggest thing. I was like, show this fan base that you mean business. Show this fan base that you are here to make changes. And then I saw that picture of her with her head in her hands in the booth, and I was like, that picture looks to me like there's going to be some changes come Saturday.
Oh, it was coming. It was coming. I mean, to the point where you had the former owner and Martha, who was awake, and she's usually sleeping most games. She was awake. Like, look at this bush. Like that's how she was. In the mix says, you think we can get the offensive coordinator from Kansas City? No, I think he has better options, and he will exercise his rights to those better options. Yeah, Jacksonville sounds a better option, even though they roster not as talented as ours. It's Florida. It's Florida.
No state tax. Houston, Texas, and Florida. I couldn't agree more.
I mean, you got some options there. Even if you go to the Jets, you got draft capital. Good Lord. Yeah. Like, seriously. Yes, Sheila Savage. I told y'all she different. I told y'all. So let me see what else we got here. Y'all think we going to rebuild or yes. Is that a question? Rebuild. Are you kidding me? We've been rebuilding since he got here. This dude claimed it was work to be done. But as always, Cam, man, give me your final thoughts, man. I had to get on with you. I love bringing somebody on that's just like me with the thought process in terms of looking at the X's and O's. What are your final thoughts for the people, man? And make sure you plug your channel too.
Oh yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, I do a lot of film breakdowns. Been indoctrinated into the One Pride gang, so I love checking out the Lions and see what they're doing. But yeah, if you guys, my channel is The Hook Cam. Anytime you guys want to roll through, come on by, drop a recommendation for who to break down. I love doing, recommendations from subscribers. Final thoughts is, this was a move that this is like ripping off the Band-Aid. This is like ripping off the scab. And, you can either, feather it and take it off bit by bit and wait till the end of the season. But, Sheila decided to go a different way. She decided to drop the hammer down, as someone said, and that's 100% what happened. This is a step in the right direction for Detroit. And I firmly believe that. I think that this is a positive move, and it's just a matter of them making the right decision with who they bring on from here on out.
Absolutely, absolutely. To all y'all who came into the chat, thank you so much. Those we agreed and disagreed with, we appreciate it. I'll answer this last question for you really quick. Silverback Scott, number 20. So do you think the new staff signs Galladay? The question now becomes, does Galladay want to stay here? That's the problem.
Yeah.
When you're liking messages that, this guy is fired. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but, there are too many people, former players and all, who did not like him. So I think the question really is going to boil down, because he already said after that one game he had, it's going to cost you. So now the question becomes, did they pay him?
Yeah.
So, Robert, Luke, you the man. You can do it by yourself, man. Keep up the good content by yourself. Call it like it is. Appreciate it, man. But, it's better when you can do it with others. Trust me. Here's my final thought, people. This quote comes from my grandmother, man. My grandma used to always say stuff to me that used to always throw me off. She said to me one day, she said, baby, there's going to be some days where you're going to find yourself standing alone. She said, but remember, while you may be the only one standing there and be alone, you are still standing. That is some powerful stuff, people, because too often we just go with the group. We go with the single group mind, hive thinking thought process. And to be able to step out and be able to say, I can stand and I'm still standing on my own and going against it is a powerful thing. There's an old photo, I can't remember what it was, where this guy was standing in front of a tank and the tank kept trying to go around, but he kept standing in front of it. It was that moment of defiance that shows you that the strength is not in your ability to gather those around you, but in your ability to simply be willing to stand out away from the rest. People, you are an individual, a beautiful, well-designed, well-oiled machine who should never, ever waver his own ability to stand against the whole. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you hit that like, subscribe button for me. And as always, don't be no chump, please. Please do your research, because our guy that y'all did not want to believe was going to get fired is out of here. And I told you so. Y'all have a good one, people. We are out.
See you, everybody.